Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 98. My name is Evan Lewis. I am, of course, joined by Leo Andry.
Who's not very sweaty.
And you've already dropped out. This is fantastic. What a good omen.
He said he wasn't very sweaty.
Yeah.
All right, well, you know what? When everyone else hears this, they'll hear it too, and I will sound like a fool. Not that that's difficult anyways. And Joe Latovsky.
I am getting sweaty.
That's fantastic. I'm not yet. I was sweaty earlier, if that counts. I don't know if we're going for high sweat or low sweat at this point. It's the first day of spring, right? So sweating can commence, officially. I mean, at least in temperate zones, not the desert. I guess technically it's still spring for you, but it doesn't change.
Yeah, well, there's two seasons. There's fall and the hell.
Do you have like a rainy season?
Yes.
Okay, where the desert turns to mud?
No, it's just when everybody drives into flooded areas and drowns.
Ugh. Yeah, I was wondering if it was like when I was over in the desert, and it was like walking through wet cement the whole time. I'm glad it's not, because that sucks. All right. Things that don't suck. That's a segue, kids. Are our patrons of the Patreon over at patreon.com/thejodocast. These fine folks are the bedrock upon which our show is built. It's like we took them all aside and said, on this rock shall we build our show.
Whenever you use the word patron and Patreon in the same sentence, I always get in my head that scene from The Life of Brian where he's writing the Romans go home graffiti in Latin.
Okay.
But he conjugates one of the verbs wrong. and the Roman soldiers make him reconjugate the verb and then properly write out his graffiti with the proper Latin.
That's funny. I like that. I did not recall that.
I can't believe you don't.
I don't recall it, but I thought you were going to say in Trouble with Tribbles, where Kirk repeats himself multiple times in a row.
I don't remember that part.
I can't believe you don't remember. Patreon! Patrons are awesome. We love them all equally. And we appreciate all that they do for us. And we're always looking for cool ways to say thank you to them, including making
Danke.
them... including Danke, including
Gracias.
Arigato.
All the ways to say thank you.
But one of the ways we like to say thank you is by including them in the creation process. We really enjoy having patron. I always want to call them Patreons, because I hear other people do that. I call them Patreons, but they are actually patrons. Patrons.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Maybe we should just start giving away bottles of Patron to the patrons. That might get us some visitors.
Nobody
But
likes tequila.
Some strange people do. I mean, when you have to immediately have lime and salt to mask the flavor, you gotta wonder. But in any event, we've just insulted all the tequila drinkers out there. Maybe we'll send you some cheap whiskey instead. But yes,
Is that like a Easter Peeps brand of whiskey?
It's the creature from Mario Brothers.
There's a little chicken on the bottle.
Yeah, made from real chickens. We love patrons.
I mean, I almost went, that was sad, but there's a lot of real chickens in most of our daily lives.
That's true. What I was trying to say was that we've enjoyed getting to work with patrons to create content with their ideas, with their feedback, getting them involved. Like, for instance, we're going to have them on our Clumsy and Random RPG show, because I think we've decided at this point that a serious RPG show, not as much fun, not as easy to do. We're kind of a hang loose improv comedy show is a little bit cooler, and we can have people on and just doof it up a bit. So that's one of the things that we want to do with our patrons.
To be fair, even when we try and do a serious RPG show, we still end up fighting against, like street gangs whose logo is obviously a pair of buttocks.
Yes, that's true. So, I mean, we just need to lean into it. Kind of like with the first Evil Dead. It's like, this is so cheesy, it's funny. Well, let's just lean into it. So, patrons, thank you. Patreon.com/thejodocast. In fact, we've got 2 new ones. I'm not going to stop you. Andrew Yim. Let me do that again. Andrew Yim and Craig Scanlon. No relation to Scanlon Shorehalt, I'm sure.
What about Neil Scanlon?
Oh, that's possible. I don't know. We should ask him. Hopefully he's listening and doesn't turn us off.
Now. Yeah.
Well, maybe he'll get back to us.
Unless he's like, they discovered my secret.
And then we'll
Neil
just say
Scanlon, for you listening, was he's like a puppeteer, creature creator on the Star Wars movies. Yeah?
Well, hey, look at that. We just complimented you, sir. So thank you to you brave adventurers for joining us on our noble quest. And if you want more information about us, if you somehow stumbled upon this recording by happenstance, go to jodocast.com, where you can find links to all of our social media, including the Patreon and most especially the Discord, where we hang out all day, every day, and talk to people from all walks of life and all parts of the world, and we don't stop ever. And it's great. So please stop by.
I mean, that is pretty accurate.
Yeah. And you don't have to be a patron to join.
If someone had started listening to us by accident, they'd still be going at this point. I don't know. I feel like it takes a concerted effort to put up with us for this long.
I feel bad for one of our fans who's like, "No, you got to check out the Jodocast," and this is their first episode, and they're like, and they just got. If maybe they've gotten to this point, and they're like, "Yeah, that's me," and. Their fingers hovering over like the closed podcast button that they keep on hand.
But that wouldn't have been by accident or happenstance.
I mean, still,
he would have purposefully tried to listen to us.
But still, I don't think anyone listens
their
to
patient,
us by accident.
Yeah, their patience is wearing
on
thin.
An MP3 player,
a Zune probably, just lying there in the gutter.
It's a Joe's leaving traps all over Arizona.
There's some kid with their braces, like picking up the Wi-Fi signals.
Like that episode of Erie, Indiana, probably. Okay, but you're not here to hear about all that. You're here to hear that really does not work at all. About Star Wars games. Let's talk really quick about what we've been playing, because I'm sure that's what you care about. Let's start with Joe. What have you been playing?
I played some Battlefront. I started the campaign over. Anakin is great. It's been a little while since I played the multiplayer. I haven't touched my Xbox in a little bit, but I did start the campaign on my computer, and I made a video of it that like more people watched than I expected. There's like 20 views on it now. Maybe there's 10. I don't know.
Ooh, I had double digits.
Still trying to work out the capture scenario on my computer. But yeah, I had fun starting the campaign over. And I didn't get to play Legion this week. Yeah.
Since you did that, actually, since you went in with zero expectations of getting like a really well done story, was it any better or any worse this time? I
am trying to go in with no. I mean, it's impossible because I've played it before, but I'm trying to like go in fresh. And even though I know where things are going, I enjoyed the first hour of the game. mostly because of the physics and the blaster holes when you blow people's heads off. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So in other words, like basically about that. So that first hour, that was about the time it took you to walk from like one end of the town to the other.
See, I'm being
level
very
number 2 there.
conscious of the walking and talking segments as I play through again. There have been a total of 2, maybe 2.5, because there's a part when you're in a TIE fighter and you're not doing anything except flying and talking. So I think that kind of counts. But yeah, I played that, which was fun. I tried to start playing KOTOR with some mods because I wanted to make a video of that. Could not get that capture to work, so I didn't get very far in KOTOR. I played Dark Forces for like 15 minutes and decided, even though I could get the capture to work, I did not want to waste my time doing that because I didn't think I was going to like it enough to make any sort of worthwhile content out of it. It's just too much. Especially because I was playing it windowed, so it was like a 6-inch little box on my screen that I was trying to look at. The tiny textures on.
See, now after you told me that, I went and installed it, played through like the first 4 levels, and was like, "Damn, this is still really fun."
It was. I liked the shooting people. Was fun. Walking around, even though you like sprint a million miles an hour in that game, which is fun. I didn't like the map layout and the textures. It was just, I spent like half the time running in circles trying to figure out what like obscure pixel on the wall I should click on to get some weird door to open up.
Was that the door that you had to like change the icons into a certain combination to open up?
Nope, just a button you got to push, and that's it.
Okay. Because I remember there being a door where I just sat there for like, I don't know how long, just trying all the different combinations. Because I didn't find like the clue that would have told me.
And then I think, I probably have played Imperial Assault and Legion and X-Wing since we last spoke.
Probably.
But, besides that, Trivial Pursuit I played. And there's a video of that up now, and I think it turned out really well. I like it. Shout out to Kurt for doing the editing on that. It was a lot of fun. The editing was really funny. I'm excited about that video. Even though most of our videos that don't feature like the big games, Imperial Assault, X-Wing, and Legion, they tend to garner less interest. I still think they're fun and worth making.
Well, that's why we gave you that job. Playing. You are given
that job?
Yeah, you are our version of Sean Baby. You play the rest of the crap. Leo knows what I'm talking about.
I do.
You do. Hey-o, we've got a listener. Welcome. I feel like Scorpion every time I say that. Welcome. From the movie. Because Mortal Kombat, the movie, is highly underrated. I bet you love that, don't you, Leo?
Is it really underrated? I mean, isn't it mostly regarded as like the best video game movie?
I think kids these days look back and go, that CGI reptile is garbage.
Nobody really gives a shit what kids these days say, though.
I mean, it's true. They're saying, let's, have a world to live in.
So basically what you're saying is millennials killed Mortal Kombat, the movie.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get a third one, did we?
Well, you know what? After the second one, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, Dexter's dad as Raiden, not exactly a step up from the Highlander.
Yeah.
So, Leo, have you been playing Mortal Kombat? To get ready for 11?
No.
No? You've been playing some Star Wars stuff? Or what?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's like, what'd you do in school today? Nothing. You didn't go to school? No.
Fine. Did you eat your vegetables today?
I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
go on.
Legion.
Oh, that's good. Tell us more.
I don't wanna. No, I've been playing Rebels again lately, so it's been weird but fun. I've managed to not completely hate playing the Rebels lately, so that's good.
What?
Actually,
go ahead.
Mostly I hate rolling white dice for defense.
That's just a problem unless you're me. They usually are okay for me.
Yeah. I just always. That's why I switched over to the Imperials for a while, because I was just getting so frustrated with never saving a single hit ever. But
Danger Sense.
Yeah,
Danger Sense is where it's at.
It is. Well, I made up for it in the game I played last night by I still didn't do real good on my saving against hits, but it didn't matter when I was on attacks. I was still rolling 6 or 7 damage every time. With Z6s with all those white dice, it was kind of my dice were on fire.
And this was the one that you posted some pictures from last night where you were like, I didn't get any victory points, so I just slaughtered them off the table.
Yeah. Well, we didn't play long enough to get to the point where either of us could have earned victory points. We only got through 2 rounds of play.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Hey, a win's a win.
Yeah.
Gotta get that W, boys.
But I got more kill points than he did, so that's a win. Trying to figure out what I want to fly for my X-Wing tournament this weekend, but it's a hyperspace tournament, and I kind of hate all my options for hyperspace lists, because everything I want to fly isn't legal in hyperspace, which
just
kind of frustrating.
Luke, Wedge, and something else.
Yeah, but see, I've only got Imperials.
Oh.
I mean, I guess I could technically fly whatever X-Wings there were. I mean, I did get 1 X-Wing expansion that I got for free from the hyperspace report at Fantasy Flight. And then, the X-Wing stuff that was in the core set.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't have any Rebel
Wedge
stuff.
And Luke.
Wedge is stupid. I'm flying that jerk face.
Did you get the Saw Gerrera pack?
No.
Okay. Not that then.
Yeah. See, so like I said, I'm stuck with Imperials, and their options kind of suck, I think.
So refresh my memory. What is hyperspace? Just you can only use what's been released for 2nd edition?
Essentially,
more or
yeah.
less, yeah.
More or less?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has a much smaller pool of
So basically for
stuff.
Imperials, I can fly standard TIE fighters, TIE Advanced, TIE Strikers, and TIE Reapers. That's it.
Ew.
And I mean, and there's some stuff I was like, okay, well, I'll fly this a TIE Reaper, and I will put Vader in him because I've had a lot of fun with the Vader upgrade on Major Vermel. Or Vermeil, or however you say his name. But yeah, of course, the Vader upgrade isn't legal for hyperspace either, so I can't do that either. So,
Well, I don't have those problems because I'm still not doing any X-Wing 2E. I still plan to bust out my 1E stuff and make some modifications to the rules, but it has just not been a priority for me, and I feel kind of bad, but I was never super hyped for it, so whatever. But what I have been super hyped for is RPGs, and I've been playing, oh my gosh, a ton of RPGs, none of which are Star Wars, but we were playing a lot of Star Wars RPG for a good stretch there. And then we tried some other stuff, experimented a little bit, and we did Call of Cthulhu, and then Legend of the Five Rings beginner game, which is Star Wars adjacent because it's on the same shelf at the store.
No, I'm not going to accept that.
It has samurais in it, and
I've been playing
Star Wars was based on old samurai movies and stuff.
I've been playing Apex Legends, which is installed on the same computer as some of my Star Wars games.
Well, it's from EA, so there you go. See, it might as well be. It's like the good version of Battlefront. Battlefront Royale.
The game that came out in 2005 is the good version of Battlefront. Also, I still like the new Battlefront. But
man, now I think Battlefront Royale should be one of our topics later on, but we'll get to that. So, Legend of the Five Rings RPG is great, and it's you think it's going to be a system kind of like Genesis / Star Wars, but it's different even yet. The amount of narrative style is so much higher, and worrying about your inner turmoil is one of the biggest things in the game. That
sounds very anime. Do you just have to pause every once in a while and look wistfully into the distance while kind of holding your fist to your chest and go...
Now that you mention it, we did have a few anime moments, but, it's all about samurai drama. And, Meat Castle says, yes, you could do that. And we had, samurai bros, crying and have sparkles because they're so yes, we will do it together. A moment like that. But it's super interesting. It's worth your time to have a look. And you do have to watch your stress, basically, is a gauge in the game, how stressed out you get. And it could force you to blow up and, be rude to someone. Which could result in death in that setting. So, it's very cool. Check it out. And on the miniature side, actually, you know what? I was going to say, well, I've only been playing Kill Team 40K, but I finished Veers because I tried to do a stream. Oh, here's a plug for our Twitch channel, because we do have stuff on there every so often. We're trying to do more, but I did a test stream last week and a half ago where I was trying to see how I could do a camera setup so that people could watch and chat with me while I paint, because I just love painting more than any other hobby besides actually playing games.
I remember the day when you were like, I don't know if I want to do painting.
Yes, I remember those dark days as well. But now it's just all the time. Paint. And I just want to hang out with folks and chat and paint, put on some royalty-free music, and hang out. Paint some dudes. So in those videos, I was trying to do some finishing touches on Veers, who I painted in sort of a cold blue color scheme, close to the Space Wolf-inspired Stormtrooper colors that I did. And those all turned out really good. I was very happy with how all of those turned out. And then I did a squad of Rebel Troopers in a similar cold weather, but not just, the white outfit of the Hoth Troopers that we'll see later in the Legion Rebel Veterans, I think is what they're called. But this was, kind of a cold, icy blue scheme on just the regular Rebel Troopers, and then I used some Valhalla Blizzard technical or texture paint to make it look snowy. And so I'm super happy with how those turned out. I've got one squad of Rebel Troopers for desert, one for forest, and one for Arctic. And they look cool. And now that I have 3 core each, I can actually sort of maybe come close to having a reasonable size army for both sides, because I'm still buying for both sides.
Nice.
Yeah, my next purchases are going to be probably Commandos and or Pathfinders.
Commandos are fun to paint.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to get Jin and Leia. I don't know what kind of a combo they are together for Commanders, but I want those two instead of Luke and Han or whoever else, and get Sabine out there and Operative, and then have Snipers and Pathfinders, and I don't know. That all sounds much cooler than Han, Luke, and Rebel Troopers. From a narrative perspective. I don't know how they work mechanically yet.
I mean, that probably would be fine. Would be my prognosis.
Great. Fine. That's a great one. So, yeah. That's a me. And our topic of the evening. Should point out, today, on this day of the year of our Lord, 2019, the 20th of March, there went out amongst the internet a great cry of something new and glorious seemingly happening out of nowhere. And yet, it's not actually a thing.
So,
I mean, it is a thing, but it's just
thing,
not the
but it's
thing
not
people
as much
thought
of
it
a
was.
thing. Yeah, so go ahead and tell everyone what the thing that's not a thing, but is still a thing is. Après-vous.
All right. So, I started to see posts on some different video game sites and people tweeting about job postings for something called Lucasfilm Games this morning, and a bunch of game websites were freaking out about this. And it's not like it was even like, Bob's Gaming Blog or something, it was some fairly
I want to see if that exists.
like PC
reputable
Gamer.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it wasn't just them. I saw the story being carried on a few other websites too that were not tiny gaming websites, and people were freaking out like, oh my god, they're bringing back essentially a new version of LucasArts. And we started freaking out about this, but then a little bit later.
Yeah, the whole thing started because there were job postings listed for...
I said that already.
Oh, okay, then edit that out. I don't know why.
Sure.
Yeah, but they had job postings for project managers, artists, some different designers, things like that. So yeah, the prospect of a LucasArts like entity coming back to me was very exciting. I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. Maybe this is their plan for whenever the exclusivity contract with EA expires. Then they're gonna, like I said, essentially reopen LucasArts under a different name. I mean, technically not a different name. Before LucasArts was called the Lucasfilm Games. So, I and most people were excited about this news until we found out it wasn't really news.
Yeah, like any sort of due diligence that places like PC Gamer and other places would have come up with the fact that Lucasfilm Games has been a thing for years. It's a division under, I think it used to be called Disney Interactive. It's been called Lucasfilm Games for a while. It's technically under Disney, not Lucasfilm, I believe. It's just a part of Disney that's been there for a while, and they part of what they do is they have quality assurance there where they're testing all of the Star Wars games that are being put out, like Battlefront, Galaxy of Heroes. They're doing QA on their end as well to make sure not only that there aren't any bugs and stuff, but that it fits with what they want Star Wars products to be and things like that. So Lucasfilm Games isn't a new thing coming to save us all from EA. It's a thing that's been around for a while, and they do just different stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, once I was reading that, I was really deflated because,
It's like the savior has been rumored to come, but then you find out he's always been there and he's not actually your savior. He's just some kind of chill guy who lives over there.
But yeah, I guess I was really annoyed at these websites that probably should have known better reporting on this.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that reminds me of the little cripple robot boy from Futurama who goes, "You raised my hopes and dashed them quite expertly, sir. Bravo."
So, yeah, I mean, you might wonder why we're talking about it if it's not really a thing, but it certainly was a thing for half a day.
I think it's important to mention it because, like a lot of these things, like we saw today, it blows up a lot. We were certainly taken in by it and excited, and a lot of people who were excited about that might not have seen the, oh no, it's not a big deal type thing, because that's not the thing that keeps generating articles and stuff.
And clicks and getting shared. And
right, so
all that
I think
stuff.
it's important to point out what's actually happening.
But we're journalists sometimes.
Oh, man. Journalism is in trouble if we are actually considered journalists.
I don't think anybody else considers us.
I'm sorry, real journalists, for us being lumped in with you.
If it gets us like a press badge somewhere.
I was gonna say, I guess we have gotten press badges for at different conventions and stuff. I guess it's official. Man, I want to. Next time we go to a convention, I really want to get like an old
fedora,
like 50, like a fedora, and with a little press thing in it, like 1950s Clark Kent and
an old timey 30s camera with the big dish for the flash bulb.
He's gonna talk like this the whole time. I'm from the Jodocast.
What's the scoop?
What you got
for
the
skinny?
Me? What's BioWare up to today? Trouble at EA Edmonton.
I'd want to rig up some kind of
that should be like our new episode intros. Is you do that, Evan? So almost like
Clone Wars.
Like at the beginning of all the Clone Wars, when there's when they're just all like war in the Republic, and you could be like,
I mean, that's honestly a decent idea, so people know the topic right away. I think I'd want to rig up some kind of a newspaper-sized tablet so it can change on my belt or something that rotates incredibly quickly.
So when spin it.
Yeah, so it can spin it into the new headline that pops up. I guess maybe if it's a screen, you could just rotate.
Why would it be
image
on your belt?
Well, because I have to present it to people.
Yeah. so you present your crotch to people.
Well, I mean, it could be raised up to torso height. It's got to be mounted somewhere. Maybe be shoulder mounted. It needs a motor to spin it.
So, getting back to the topic at hand, though, I will say that it was interesting at just how crazy hopeful people were just from this tiny bit of news, though, or non-news, which just goes to show what, again, we've said it before, but just goes to show what a bad job EA has been doing as a steward of Star Wars gaming.
Yeah,
and
some of the articles that I saw this morning, that's pretty much the meat of, because there's these job postings, and the rest of the article was like explaining what EA has been doing, which is nothing.
And there was a lot of, like, on our Discord, a lot of hopeful discussion about, like, oh, well, maybe we could see this, maybe we could see that. Seems like lots of people really want to see, like, a remastered Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
1 and or 2.
I mean, I was asking that question back in 2011. I was asking BioWare that. I'm like, so when are we going to see this? And they're like, well, we haven't even released Old Republic yet, so hold off. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? 8 years later, I'm still waiting, David Bass.
Calling you out, David Bass, whoever you are.
He's a good dude.
Am I supposed to know that as a journalist?
It's before your time. Before your time, kid. You got to work your way up.
Is he still at BioWare?
He left and came back.
Oh, he's back. Because I was going to say,
back.
I thought I remember him leaving. I did not know he's back, though.
I think so. I might need to double check myself, but I would have sworn up and down he was. If it's otherwise, people at BioWare, if they ever want to talk to me again, will tell me so. They'll probably only talk to me to correct me and say, no, that's wrong. Long gone are the days where we were accused of filleting them. So I was going to put this question at the end, after everything else, but it's not going to take long. But let's just say, in our own headcanon, that not necessarily that EA loses the contract, but that more, not oversight, because they already have that, but I guess more direction, more control of the keys to the kingdom are in the hands of an internal Lucasfilm Games department, and if they had more like directorial power of like, we want other companies to work on these things, we don't want everything to be solely in EA's court. Just really quick, your heart of hearts, Fantasyland, Magical Christmas Land, what do you think each of you we could see maybe out of that sort of more centralized direction from a LucasArts, in quotations, type of department within Disney Interactive?
A new flight sim type game. That's all I want.
Yeah, do it. Go straight up Shadows of the Empire and make an Alphabet Squadron video game, because the Alphabet Squadron novel is like a crossover event with the new comic coming out, which I forget the name of, something about TIE pilots, and then give us a video game that ties in with both of those properties.
That would be cool.
Yeah. It's kind of tailor-made if they're going to be like, here's all the different ships. It's like, oh, well, a game with all the different ships?
But I don't know, man. That would require actually publishing a game, which EA doesn't seem too interested in.
They sure don't.
Which is why, I wish. Which is why we're all sitting here wishing things were different.
Yeah. Well, it's like we mentioned, because like I said, all day, every day on the Discord, come join us. Don't have to be a patron, although there are honors and benefits before age 9 if you do become a patron. We were saying on Discord that back in the heyday of LucasArts, they certainly did a lot of internal development and internal publishing, but in the late 90s, early aughts, they did a lot of outsourcing of development and then published those games. Like the 2005 Battlefront is a good example of that. Force Unleashed is, an example of internal, but so was X-Wing and TIE Fighter. So they did a lot of both. Do you think an internal team is at all likely. I did read or heard somewhere recently that Disney is like, we tried to do video games and we weren't good at it, so that's why we're letting other people do it.
Yeah, and one of the more recent shareholder calls, Bob Iger said that they prefer outsourcing that sort of stuff, and they're happy with their relationship with EA.
Which boggles, I think, everyone's mind.
I believe two of those statements.
Right. I feel like, you probably just kind of has to say that at a shareholders meeting, but it makes sense that they would prefer to outsource this kind of stuff, I guess.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah. Let's step back from, rumors and dreams, and let's talk about some vaguely more concrete things. Not even all that concrete, honestly. But Star Wars Celebration is right around the corner, and I think we're all expecting to see something from...
I think we're all excited for our exclusive Darth Vader Legion minis.
That's true. Wish
you didn't sound very excited.
Well, if I was actually able to go, thanks a lot, stupid frack 'em.
They're gonna have a first Jedi Fallen Order big panel.
So it'll actually be more than just a really uncomfortable interview.
Yeah. What if that's what the panel is? They have everybody show up, and then somebody goes out to the crowd. That dude is there again. He's like, "Yeah, it's and he gives us a release date.
There's lightsabers and stuff.
Do I get to hold a lightsaber?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
We've got that. We've done some mocap. Yeah, just look forward to it coming out this fall. All right, thanks everybody.
Oh my gosh, I cannot. I know people are excited for this game. Like, how? How can we don't know. We've seen anything. This is a nothing game so far.
I'm kind of excited.
I'll be excited when we see something.
I will. I'm excited to see something. I'm mostly
at least the guys making the game have a fairly good track record.
Right? That's the other thing. After so I played any of the Titanfall games, but I've been playing a lot of Apex, and then I found out that these are the people who made Titanfall as well, and they're the people making Jedi Fallen Order. I'm like, well, that's a big confidence boost in this game. Might actually be something.
Maybe it'll be a battle royale game too. It'll just be Apex Legends with Star Wars skins shoved on it.
It's just melee characters and some stormtroopers, and it's the plot is the Jedi somehow now they just think, okay, well, there can only be one of us now to survive, to preserve the order. We have to reduce our numbers.
If I was going to play a Jedi game, a game about a Jedi, which I don't, there's one reason why I'm not super excited about this is just because I'm, I'll Jedi'd out. I think after the prequels and like during the prequels, there was just like way too much focus on Jedi for my tastes. So, I'm not looking forward to a Jedi based game. But if they were to make one and I want to play it, I think it would be kind of cool to make a. And it could work with this, especially if you're like a Jedi Padawan who survived Order 66 and you're on the run. That's kind of like about the only thing we know about this game is that you're a Padawan and you're in hiding and stuff. And if it was like almost like a Souls-like type game.
Oh.
Where it's just super hard.
Yeah, and you're trying to survive.
That makes plenty of sense given the subject matter, but it makes no sense given that it's a Star Wars title and they need to appeal to the biggest audience possible.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're not talking about what it's actually going to be here. We're talking about what I want it to be.
Yeah, if we thought that our requests might actually become something, I'd finally have my GTA style Boba Fett game. But that ain't never going to happen.
I think the only things that I really would want out of Jedi Fallen Order, I'm sure I'll just kind of be fine with whatever. The only things I want an actual solid story that impresses me. I would like to see characters we're familiar with, not like big
Chewbacca.
Ones. No,
I thought that was an EA edict. You had to put Chewbacca in it.
That's why those other games got canceled. I want to see like Barriss Offee or maybe the Grand Inquisitor, or maybe some of the characters from the comic books. I want to see characters I know, but not like the big name ones. I think that would be neat, especially because they'll have more room to do whatever they want with those characters.
I mean, they could throw Kanan in there pretty easily.
I was just gonna say, what if that's the big secret? Is this just turns out to basically be retelling the story of the Kanan comics?
Yes, I was thinking about that too.
I mean, that could be neat.
If it turns out to be that, you know what? Then they've nailed it.
Especially if it uses the flashback framing where it's the Rebels crew and like Kanan's injured and he's kind of like, and then it kind of cuts back to the past stuff because I want to see those characters again. But the other thing I want is dismemberment, which I feel like could go either way. The Force Unleashed 2 had dismemberment, which was great. The best thing about that game.
And yeah.
This one, I don't know. I could see it going either way. The more and more realistic these video games become, the weirder and weirder it is when the lightsabers don't really mess you up.
Yes. Just every NPC is going to be handless after you beat them. They lose in hand, they fall to the ground and disappear.
Yeah, everybody just loses like an arm or a hand and that's it. And they just fall down and go, ow.
I'm amazed there was never a quest like that on SWTOR. It's like, we need you to go collect hands from people. He's like, this dude's got no hands. Why didn't I get any hands from this guy? He was literally hitting me with them.
Yeah, I think that's what would... If anything else, if they're like, there's dismemberment in this game, I'm sold already. I guess I'm simple like that.
Okay, so dismemberment for you, Kanan for me. What's going to sell it for Leo?
Extreme
very
difficulty.
limited use of lights. That's right. Extreme difficulty.
He wants to not like it. That's what'll make him like it. If he's not swearing at it and hating himself every time he boots it up, it's not enjoyable.
I mean, that's how he and I both play Battlefront 2.
But I don't like that game.
That's true. All right.
I don't know. I don't know. I would just have to wait and see what they show us at Celebration, because at this point there's just not much excitement for me. I mean, like I said, there's a tiny bit of cautious optimism since Respawn has a good track record, but I just
what if it's the Imperial Commando and the Padawan on the run is like the driving force of your clone character or your stormtrooper, and it's just a shooter where you're hunting this kid.
You're just constantly tracking down this kid.
I suppose, every level would be some kind of like kids cartoon thing where he gets away.
He's like, sorry, like your kid is in another castle.
It's basic. No, it would be like you are trying to get him, but you like have to make your way through like all these like Home Alone traps that this kid is. Every level.
He's trying to not be alone, so he keeps finding, Jedi Knights and Jedi Masters who survived, and you end up killing them all the time, and he slips away.
Wow.
He's inadvertently this, and then like at the very end of the game, the kid like turns to the dark side when he realizes that it's actually his fault that all these Jedi died. He just led them all to their deaths,
and he becomes the fifth brother or whatever.
One of the Inquisitors. Yeah.
And they're like, "Damn, dude, you're good at this." And he's like, "I am."
Actually, if we got more info about the Inquisitors, that'd be pretty sweet.
I will be surprised. It's almost a given that we will see Inquisitors in there. I hope they're more than just generic enemy type number 2 or something. Because with the Vader comic, the second one, that had a lot of Inquisitor focus and Rebels, and you can't have a story set in that time about the Jedi Purge without lots of Inquisitors. So I just hope that they are interesting Inquisitors or ones we know from the comics.
Do you think we'll see... Actually, you know what? Before we get to that, we kind of talked about what the best we could expect and like what would kind of make this game for us. What do you think's the absolute worst that could happen? Do you think there's
basically Force Unleashed again?
I was gonna say that too. I don't want the Force powers to be crazy. I don't want there to be enemy. If you have the ability to pick people up whenever you want, I don't want there to be guys who can magnetize themselves to the floor. See, I guess this wouldn't be the worst, but again, I don't want to have to hit somebody 10 times with my lightsaber before they die. But that's just kind of the way video games are, and I don't think anybody's gonna be figuring out how to get around that anytime soon. Maybe you don't have a lightsaber. That would be neat.
He lied. You get to hold a lightsaber, but it's gone immediately.
Get it, like,
maybe since you're just a Padawan, you only managed to grab one of those like training lightsabers that you see the kids training with Yoda have.
It's just like the batons from Futurama that just beat people.
All right. Well, I think that's. I mean, until Celebration,
What
there's
is your worst case scenario?
Oh, I was gonna say that like they keep saying, "Oh, it'll be there," and then it's not, and everyone's like, "Yeah," and then everyone's like, "Where is it?" And they're like, "Yeah." So about that.
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, I guess, for any EA Star Wars games is that it goes the way of 50% of EA Star Wars games and gets canceled.
So it has it's got a 50-50 chance of actually coming to fruition.
I will say I have been happy like that, and given the name this game has, they very easily could have done this, but I haven't heard like every single time this game is talked about, the developers being like, "Oh, it's a grim, it's dark, it's gritty, it's," like that's the one thing that I always hated whenever any developer would talk about 1313. They always are like, "Oh, it's so macho and badass and grimdark," and
that's all like, yeah, that's like Star Wars.
Yeah, it's all like that's not really Star Wars. So this really sounds like it's gonna be. And as more information about that game came out, I just continued to feel vindicated and right in that opinion.
And yet people continue to say, "Please bring back 1313."
Well, what do those people know?
I don't know.
Nothing.
But, I mean, that's kind of all we know about... is it Star Wars : Jedi : Fallen Order? Is that how this goes?
I don't...
Or is it all just one word?
Was there a Jedi in there?
I thought it was. I thought it was Star Wars Jedi. Maybe it's Star Wars Jedi. It's Star Wars Jedi : Fallen Order. Star Wars
is
exclamation point.
It's Star Wars Jedi : Fallen Order trademark.
Yeah, that's how it's listed on the EA website.
Okay, so it's Star Wars Jedi.
Yes, Fallen
There's
Order.
no breath. There's no breath between Star Wars and Jedi.
Nope.
Okay, good. I guess. Fallen
That's
Order.
what
Great.
the main character is. That's his name, Star Wars.
Mr. Wars? Master Wars? Well, let's stop talking about that, because I'm sure we'll talk more about it later. Battlefront 2.
Shut up.
Do you think we will get anything Battlefront 2 related that hasn't already been revealed or talked about from the roadmap? Of course, now that we have Anakin, most of what we know for like big releases is here, right?
You're forgetting the big one.
Battle Royale mode.
There's allegedly by the end of the month, the new game mode is supposed to come out. The big one that's going to function more like Conquest from Battlefield, where you're capturing command points. And there's apparently capital ship interiors are part of this, so we may be traveling from planetside to capital ship. There's almost no information on this game mode still, except we know that I think I've told you everything that we know. There's command posts that you'll be capturing. It's non-linear, and there are capital ship interiors, and it's supposed to come out by the end of the month, and that's all we know.
There's not much of the month left.
Yeah. Which is fun because I'm like watching the subreddit, and as we get closer, the things start to like freak out more and more. And then you get to look at all the community manager responses of them being like, I wish we could tell you more, but we can't. So that's a big thing that's coming out. After that, I don't know, because that should hopefully be out by the time Celebration hits. Yeah. I don't expect any Battlefront news at Celebration. But
except maybe, hey everyone, Anakin's here. Did you see him yet? Check it out.
Yeah, that could be. They could announce
Battle Royale.
Ahsoka, Padme, Ventress, and I would say probably Jango. I'd rather have Cad Bane, but Jango's, they just got to repaint Boba and change his guns.
Yeah.
It's easier to develop. But,
it is.
I know they've at least, at one point, they were like, they've planned for the possibility of Padme and Ahsoka being in the game. Because when Grievous came to the game, those crafty data miners found voice lines for Grievous of him calling out, because they all talk to each other, all the characters. He talks to Padme and Ahsoka. Like, he has a line for encountering them. Those files have been removed in a future update, but they were there. Matthew Wood recorded those lines for them. So whether they're coming or not, the developers at least are like have a hope like we do that maybe they'll be able to do that someday. Mm-hmm. And if they do, those lines are there for them to use. So if they announced Ahsoka, Padme, Ventress, Jango, that would be pretty sweet.
I mean, just sort of in, fantasy land just now, I was thinking about how good they could do it if they did it completely opposite of at E3. They just had like that one picture of Grievous, and they were like, and we're getting Grievous and Obi-Wan, more Clone Wars, and that was it. Like, that's really bad. That's a really bad way to announce stuff like that. If they did the exact opposite.
At least they didn't go just like talk to a guy in the audience who was like, we got Grievous. Does Grievous have a lightsaber? Yeah,
he has 4. But they could go all out. Like, if they were gonna have Ahsoka and Ventress and Padme and somebody else, they could show them. Maybe not. I mean, it'd be cool if they had actual character graphics of them. That'd be pretty sweet. I don't know how long that would take to whip up, but then bring out the voice actors and be like, yep, here they are, bringing them to life for you to play with. Like, that would be pretty sweet to see the actors come out and, just say a few words like, yeah, it was really fun to do this game, but like, sort of push the fact that, like, yes, this is a big deal. This is a thing with all the people that you know and love from the show doing the thing.
That would be very cool. Because, it obviously wasn't at a convention, but since the they've had Matthew Wood, Matt Lanter, and James Arnold Taylor on like the Star Wars show and some other things on the internet and interviews on the website, kind of being like, what's it like being back in this character and stuff. So they, I don't want to get my hope. I'll be impressed if we get this new game mode by the end of the month.
Yeah. No, I mean, I certainly don't have any hopes that we would get anything like that. Referring back to my little Fantasyland idea, but
they did say that after this stuff is out, like that's not the end of new content. So
it'll be interesting to see how long they try to stretch out Battlefront 2, because I mean, I don't think the game is in any way, like technically, like just from a graphics and playability standpoint, in a bad spot. Like, well, this needs to be replaced. They're doing good, relatively speaking.
I think what they need to do is just do some marketing again. Make a new trailer that includes all the new content and be like, look, it's cool, and have like a little video of me going like, yeah, it's really turned around, and
that's the new quote on the back of the box. It's really turned around. Boy, I'm glad I paid $60 at launch.
If the game launched in the state it is now, it would had no issues. Except
Agreed.
Leo complaining about the campaign and other people like us.
And,
I mean, we also
the multiplayer.
And the multiplayer
and the gameplay.
And the game. I don't know. I have gotten much more happier responses from the game lately. You've heard way less cussing from me playing the game when we've been on there together. It's been more like, yeah, I got that guy. Oh, he got me. Okay, fine.
Maybe we'll have to set up another little play date.
We just might have to.
Get your hands on Anakin.
Yeah. I did get Obi-Wan, and I haven't gotten to take him out for test drive yet. So the last thing I want to talk about, well, I guess, one thing we didn't talk about was Rest in Peace Force Arena.
Oh, yeah.
We hardly knew thee because I stopped caring.
I mean, it's weird. It's like, because I really, really liked that game, and I played it for a lot.
It was definitely the best Star Wars mobile game there's been.
Ever. And then I stopped playing after like 3 months, and now it's...
Well, I wouldn't say ever. I guess. I mean, if you count like like KOTOR being ported onto mobile,
well, it's not a mobile game.
Yeah. But
Knights of the Old Republic is the best mobile Star Wars game ever. I mean, technically, it was really good, and now it's dead. And I probably helped contribute to that because, like I said, I stopped playing after 3 months, which is a shame because, yeah, it was a great game. And I think what we were saying in some discussion online was that it didn't, like, pressure you to spend real money the way Galaxy of Heroes does. And that might be why it was really good and why it died.
Well, I think part of the thing is like, well, I don't know about you, but at least for me, I guess what I tend to look for actually in a mobile game on my phone is a game like Force Arena required too much engagement and made it difficult for me to play in times when I actually want to pull out my phone and play a game. Like normally if I'm pulling out my phone and wanting to play a game, it's just like a thing I do while doing other tasks.
Right. I do see a lot of people pull out their phones and play Galaxy of Heroes like between
my goodness,
rounds at X-Wing tournaments.
Yeah, because it's just like you could just like let it sit unattended and like tap the screen every now and then and continue progressing. And that's like, I mean, they're not good games by any means, but like that's the kind of game that I look for on my phone.
They are the game for 2019. So what we're saying is Forza Arena was too good of a game. It should
be on the phone. Yes, it was too good of a game for your phone.
It should have been a PC MOBA.
I mean, I would have played the hell out of that.
You know what? That game would have been really cool, say, on like the Switch,
Ooh, yeah.
Like that that system has a touchscreen.
Mm-hmm. Or the Wii U.
Yeah.
I jest, but it might have been.
So that game's dead, and it's all our fault. And yours too, dear listener, for not playing it. Unless you were one of the few people who did play it, then good for you. You tried. And I'm sorry, my condolences.
Thoughts and prayers.
But the last thing...
the last thing that I do want to talk about really quick, because it's my baby, is Old Republic, the MMO. It's still alive.
I thought we were going to talk about your cats.
Oh, no, we could. We can talk about my cats. We can talk about Joe's cats. It'll be like sad. That clip. You're sad.
Cora jumped out of her brand new cat tree yesterday and hurt her foot, and now she's limping, and it's super sad.
Baby!
Yeah, it's heartbreaking every time I see her. I think she'll be fine, though. She's got to chill out.
Just chill for a few days. Great. Good job, cat. My cats just go thud when they hit the ground. It's like, you all right? Meh. Okay, great. Carry on.
Your cats make that noise.
Yes.
That would be terrifying.
Yes, they do. Cat. One does. He kind of barks. If a cat could bark.
Hi, kitty. Nah.
Yes, I'm not joking. It's
like
literally
a down-pitched goat.
Are you sure it's a cat?
I mean, fairly sure. I haven't checked him lately for papers.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification. No ticket.
This is like Gattaca. You have to do genetic tests on him to.
Well, I'm taking him to the vet because he's hyperthyroid. So,
can you please ask? Is this a cat?
I'll call the vet. Yeah, I need to bring this animal in. Well, what kind of animal? I want you to tell me.
I mean,
that's the question.
I think it's a cat, but
Flirkin'
cat. There's one thing I learned from Captain Marvel is looks can be deceiving. So
that's right.
You just be like, yeah, it's a cat. Be like, prove it, and they'll be like, what? They take you to Wikipedia and like, I don't know. Anybody could edit that.
It's a fact. Yeah, it's all a conspiracy. Wikipedia is a conspiracy. But the Old Republic is not a conspiracy. The fact that it's still around to this day shows its enduring strength. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's been a couple years. I think it's been 3 years? Leo, am I correct? Since we got that trailer for Fallen Empire?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a while.
And I know talking about this is just so stimulating for you. But even just a few months ago, I'd been watching some of the chatter going around because they were on patch. What would it have been? Because that was 4, that was 5, 5.8. I think it was 5 because Fallen Empire was 4. Eternal Throne was 5. So it was 5.8 and then 5.9. And they were like, well, what are we going to get next? Is it going to be update 6 with a whole new thing? And they're like, no, we're going to have 9.1. That's going to be a big update before we even get to 6.0. And I'm pretty sure we don't yet have 6.0, but I'm willing to bet come fall we will have one, and I'm hoping that we get a trailer of some sort, at least. Something.
At Celebration?
At Celebration. If nothing else, there will be a trailer. Maybe not. Maybe hopes and dreams are, in short supply. Or reality is in short supply. Hopes and dreams are in rich supply, but reality may let me down.
What if we...
That reminds me of Hitchhiker's Guide. Isn't there an entry that says if you find something wrong with the guide, it's actually reality that's wrong?
What if we get like... we probably wouldn't yet at this point, but at some point in the future, if the Old Republic is still going as a game, some kind of expansion that ties into the rumored movie series from Benioff and Weiss that people claim or think is going to be set in the Old Republic period.
Yeah, I didn't check the sources on that one because I think the source that everyone's looking at might be a little dubious. But yeah, like everyone is convinced based on I think one little snippet that those the Game of Thrones boys might be giving us some KOTOR sweetness, which I think
wasn't the only thing. Basically, they were like, yeah, it's a part of the Star Wars universe that hasn't been explored yet, or something like that. And like,
I think
that's
there
like
was
that's like
another
entirely
source.
what people are basing that off of.
I probably have to do more digging than I want to do right this second, but I could have sworn I saw someone posted on Twitter what the source is that everyone's like going off of and reading into. But it just says like the Old Republic, but whether that means 20 years before Phantom Menace, I mean that's Old Republic, or if they mean 3,000 years before. So it could be a prequel, of young Mace Windu for all we know, which I wouldn't say no to. Maybe Young Yoda. The Young Yoda Adventures. Sounds like it should be a Game Boy game. And I just checked. No?
Yoda Stories was a pretty good game on the PC back in the day. Maybe they could remaster that game and release it. There we go.
I don't think the Old Republic will...
That's what the Lucasfilm Games needs to do. Re-release Yoda Stories, damn it.
I don't think the Old Republic will ever be made canon, ever.
Well, not this version of it.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, you guys are talking about it tying in with movies.
I know.
So.
He was tugging at my heartstrings.
Yeah, it was more of a fanciful supposition than a realistic thought.
And just to expand on what I was saying earlier, they did release Game Update 5.10 back in December, and they released 5.10a at the end of December, 5.10b in January, 5.10.1 in February, and they just released 5.10.1a. So we don't yet have 6, but it's like it's gotta be. It's gotta be on the way.
I mean, yeah. Otherwise, they would have just gone to 6 if there wasn't something more interesting planned.
Well, I mean, no, not necessarily. I mean, that's you don't just go to version. I mean, that's not how versioning works. It's not unusual for things to go past whatever 0.9 in game versioning or like in software versioning.
But it feels like it's building up to something.
I mean, it could very well. I mean, generally that first number bump is reserved for some kind of major update, major release, major change.
Yeah, a big change to the game.
You don't just go from you don't just go up to the next version number because you hit 0.9.
But in the storyline right now, the Jedi, because you think, oh, everything's great because we beat the Eternal Empire and there's no more war between the Sith Empire because they're being ruled by Queen Darth Cool Lady, and the Republic is still being run by a bunch of bums, but at least they're okay. But, drama and stuff, moving the game forward. Pretty sure there was a traitor to the Republic, and a thought dead guy returned on the Sith side and is chasing down all the Jedi. They got chased to Ossus, our old stomping grounds of Ossus, and the Jedi are being hunted down again and again and again and again. And so now we've moved away from the Jedi and Sith side, Republic and Empire, like joining up to fight the real bad guy of the universe, and now they're at each other's throats again, like it should be. And so I would imagine 6.0 will be a big Republic / Jedi versus Sith Empire expansion, which sounds an awful lot like another game. And I'm hoping for another new trailer that shows off some of the more recent heroes and pushes the story, because they've pushed a lot of story in their trailers, better than a lot of games, better than a lot of movies. So that's what I'm hoping for. Whether or not we get it, we shall see. That's how it always goes. And then we'll get super hyped for it and we'll play a little bit, although we have some plans within plans for SWTOR to be announced at a later date. Anybody else have anything? Because, we got Celebration, but then we also got E3. It's not too far away. Think they'll save anything? I think they'll just blow it all on Celebration, which I think would be smart. I think that'd be the smart move. Well, actually, you know what? I got to go back and correct myself. Didn't EA say, we're not going to do any big press conferences at E3 this year because, they sucked last year? And they probably blame everyone's bad reaction to their sucking on the people with the bad reaction.
Yeah. They're not the only ones. I thought I've heard of a couple other people who were just like, yeah, we're not really going to do E3 this year, but...
Was it Bethesda?
I don't know.
Guys, we're just not feeling it. Just no reason.
Like, we don't understand why you guys didn't like Fallout 76. We blame you. They would. Todd comes out and it's like, no, you guys didn't like it. You don't get any more press conferences. Anyways, now I'm just being bitter about the game industry.
Didn't they announce the next Elder Scrolls game?
Yeah, they at least put a title screen up with some music, which is more than EA did for Jedi Fallen : Star Empire War :
I just want that guy to do it from the audience. The rest of the marketing for the game, all the even TV commercials are just him sitting in a crowd going, "This game's coming out. It's about this and this. It's gonna be pretty good.
It's gonna have lightsabers."
And he just kind of goes.
Every interviewer has to ask that question. Do I get a hold of a lightsaber? I want Jeff Keighley from Game Trailers to be like, okay, so seriously, do I get a hold of a lightsaber? Anything else you want to touch on, or have we completely wrung all the water from the stone that is Star Wars video games?
Well, yes, we have, because since there's basically no Star Wars video games right now, there's not a lot of water to be had.
I always feel funny when I explain our show to people. It's like we talk about tabletop games and video games, I guess, if we have to.
Well, we would. I would love to talk about Star Wars video games more, but there's nothing to talk about.
Unless we just go back to the old catalog, break out some of our LucasArts catalogs that used to come with the games. We could just go through that and read all the cool info bits that were sprinkled throughout those catalogs. I think that's where I learned that the Millennium Falcon was inspired by a hamburger with an olive next to it.
How about... So I have a couple old games sitting around like Obi-Wan on Xbox and Bounty Hunter. We could just read through the manuals.
Well, we could read the X-Wing manual. At least has a story. It talks about Kian Farlander.
There you go.
And and him, and it talks about the time where like he on the eve of like the Death Star battle, like he gets pissed off and like his latent force abilities awaken and he like starts force choking somebody, and then Luke shows up and he's all like, "Whoa, buddy, that's like the dark side, I think." That's that's what Obi-Wan told me. You might want to calm down there.
So he's the Vegeta of Star Wars?
No, Vegeta's way cooler than Kian Farlander.
Vegeta's more like Merrick Steele, which still sounds like a porn name. All right, well, I think it's pretty clear that...
now that we're talking about porn, it's time to wrap things up.
It sure is. It's that time of the episode, folks. All right, well, I guess it just goes without saying. Thanks to everyone who listens. Thanks to the patrons. Thanks to Leo. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to... I was going to say thanks to EA, but I don't know what the hell I'd thank them for. We'll see. Well, no, you won't see us either. Oh, dang it. This is not working. You'll hear us next time on the JodoCast.
Same Jodo time. Same Jodo download location.